Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This Shabbos is a very special Shabbos, Parshat Behar. We just finished celebrating the holiday of Lag BaOmer, in which we celebrated the Hilula of Rabbi Chaim Lipskar, the passing of Rabbi Chaim Lipskar, and really the celebration of Rabbi Akiva's legacy, that Rabbi Akiva's students would continue along after 24,000 passed away. Rabbi Akiva was a very, very practical Jew. He was a farmer, and that is when he saw the first time a stone, water falling into a stone, he realized that he can start Judaism then. But as a farmer, he worked with the ground. And that's very much about this week's parsha. This week's Torah portion, Parshat Behar, talks about the practical elements of the working of the field. And especially this year has very much of a significance because we learn about the laws of Shemitah, the sabbatical year in which we let the yield rest, the ground rest. This year happens to be a Shemitah year in the land of Israel. And so one of the things they have to be more careful about, that milk and meat in Israel is actually the fruits and vegetables, that they were sold. We talk about the laws of the Jubilee year, in which everyone becomes free. In the year of the Shemitah, slaves will also become free. But we learned in today's actual Friday's portion of the Chumash this morning about having a slave. The whole concept of a Jew having a slave doesn't sound like something moral. And the truth is, it wasn't moral. But at the time, slavery meant you kept a slave living in a barn, on a haystack, like you'll see in the movies. And in the reality, Judaism, the Torah tells us that if you want to have a slave, then you have to feed him the same meat that you're eating. And so if you're getting a prime rib steak, you have to give your slave. It says you have to give him the same pillow, the same mattress. You have a beautiful bed and a beautiful pillow. You have to give that same pillow and mattress to the slave. And on one hand, it's to teach us about being kind to human beings. On the other hand, it's also because God didn't want ultimately Jews to have slaves. And therefore, if you have to take care of your slave, like better than you can take care of your own children, then you're probably not going to have one, because he's not going to be just a free worker living in a barn. He's going to be living in your home, eating your meat, having a wonderful bed. And so it teaches us about the idea of being moral and the idea of how the Torah acts in order that we should, as human beings, God's light comes to this world, to this earth. We live in a physical world. But within the physicality, Hashem expects from us a higher, to live in a much higher and better way. And so as we go into this Shabbos Parshat Behar, the Shabbos in which we learn about the practical elements of the field, the sabbatical year, the Jubilee year, about leaving leket, about leaving for poor people, about not taking every single corner of payah, not the stuff that we leave on the floor, it doesn't belong to us. We have to realize that everything in this world we have comes from Hashem, and all the blessings that we have come from Hashem. And as we go into these last final 2 weeks from Lag BaOmer to the holiday of Shavuot, which we're able to receive the Torah, we realize the Torah is not just about Shabbat or about tefillin or kosher, things that we would right away elucidate that belongs to a Jew. But it's about practical being, how we act to our employees, how we act to our people that work with us, how we act with poor people around us. And that's sort of one of the main things in the Torah. More mitzvahs are written about the laws of Mekach and Memkar, about business, than it is about Shabbat. As I mentioned before, when we go upstairs after 120, the first question that Hashem is going to ask us is, did we act honestly in business? The second thing he's going to ask us is, did we keep Shabbat? And so as we go into this Shabbos of dealing with the agricultural laws of the Torah, the laws in which we deal with people, the laws in which we deal with servants, the laws which we continue to add in our kindness to the people around us. And if we do that, we merit that already before the holiday of Shavuot, we'll have the coming of Mashiach very soon in our day. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Tonight, 7:30, tomorrow morning at 10:15.